Hello, everyone. Welcome into my office here at Bethany. Blessed to have you with me today. As we get ready for worship this week, the gospel is Jesus predicting for a second time to his disciples that he needs to be arrested, crucified, and then rise on the third day. None of this makes any sense to them whatsoever, but they're kind of afraid to ask for clarification. You can understand why when he starts talking about crucifixion and resurrection, and you're sitting there with a bunch of people who this isn't even remotely on the radar screen for them in regards to what a Messiah would be. But then as they make their way to the next location, Jesus eventually asks the disciples, "What are you arguing about?" Because he can tell they're arguing. He's just not paying attention per se to what they're saying. None of them want to say, because what they had been arguing about was which one of them was the greatest. So here you have Jesus say, on one hand, the Messiah, the Son of God, needs to be handed over to be crucified, to be sacrificed for all people. And then in turn, the disciples respond with, "Yeah, but which one of us is the greatest?" So you have this conflict of what is great, what is a servant. And Jesus, of course, does know what they were arguing about. He always knew. And so he responds to them with, "If you want to be great, lower yourself to be the servant. Be the servant." And then he takes a child and says, "Welcome a child such as this. That makes you great." Not because you did anything grandiose or spectacular, but because you welcomed one of the least of the community, a little child, one of the meekest of the community, a little child. Serve the weak, serve the meek, welcome the marginalized, be a servant, be willing to sacrifice. Then you become great in the eyes of God. Very interesting. Obviously, the perception of what Jesus is to the disciples versus what Jesus knows his mission to be seem to be miles apart, and those things need to be fixed. They will be over time, but the disciples keep pushing back, as does, by the way, our culture and our society, right? Our culture and our society speaks to strength and power as coming from wealth or status of your position, per se, politicians, for examples. But the truth of the matter is, those who are the greatest in society are the ones who are willing to sacrifice the most for others. Those are the ones we remember, right? Actually, there's this great thing out there about Charles Schultz, the creator of Peanuts, the cartoon of Snoopy. And he used to say that he would ask people, name the five wealthiest people in the world in order. Couldn't do it. Name the last 10 presidents. Oftentimes they couldn't do it. But then he would say, now name the teacher that had the greatest influence in your life. Everybody could answer immediately. It's not the people who have the most money. It's not the people who have the most powerful positions in the world, so to speak, who are the greatest. The greatest are the ones who sacrifice, serve, and show love, who role model what love is to us. Those are the ones we remember. That's what Jesus is trying desperately to teach his disciples. We'll have more to talk about. Pastor Jane will be here this week in my stead. Looking forward to seeing what she talks about related to all this. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Thanks be to God. Amen.